Imagine being so rich that you can buy an island, a private jet, even your own hospital wing, but not one genuine smile from your own child. That was John Harrington's life. He was a billionaire whose name made stock markets tremble, but every night, he went home to a mansion that felt like a museum. Silent, cold, perfect, except for one room at the very end of the golden hallway. Behind that door sat his only son, Michael. Michael couldn't walk. He barely spoke. His body was stiff, his hands twisted, his head always tilted to one side. 10 of the best doctors in the world had tried to fix him. 10 had failed. Each left with a fat check and a quiet shrug. "It's the best we can do," they said. John hated those words. So he took that anger out on everyone else. Maids were fired for a single fingerprint on the marble. Drivers were yelled at for being 30 seconds late. Poor people in his world were meant to serve, obey, and stay quiet. Then Sophia arrived. She stepped through the servants' entrance with a small suitcase, worn shoes, and eyes that had seen more struggle than luxury. She was hired to clean, to stay out of the way, and to never, ever go near the boys' room. The staff whispered as she passed. "She won't last a week," Emma, the head maid, muttered. "Wait until Mr. Harrington snaps." But that first night, as the rain hammered against the tall glass windows and thunder rolled over the city, Sophia heard something at the end of the hallway. Not the usual silence. A soft, broken sound, like someone trying not to cry too loudly. She froze. It was coming from Michael's room. She wasn't allowed to go there. She knew the rules. Yet something in that sound, it pulled at a place in her chest she thought she had locked years ago. What would you do if you heard a child crying in a house where money could buy everything except kindness? Sophia took a breath. Her hand trembled as she reached for the forbidden door handle. And that single step, taken by a poor maid in a billionaire's palace, would soon expose 10 doctors, shatter a father's pride, and lead to a miracle no one believed was possible. The door creaked softly as Sophia pushed it open. The air inside was different. Heavy. Too clean, like a hospital that had forgotten it was inside a home. Machines hummed quietly. A faint beeping. The sharp smell of sanitizer and cold metal. In the center of the room, under a huge crystal chandelier, sat a wheelchair. And in that wheelchair was Michael. He looked younger than she expected. Maybe 8, maybe 9. His dark hair was messy, his head lolled slightly to one side. His hands were curled against his chest, fingers tight, as if he was always bracing for something that never stopped. His eyes moved first. Slow, searching, confused, and then they found her. Sophia froze. "Oh," she whispered. "Hi." No one had prepared her for this. No one mentioned that the disabled son was just a boy with eyes full of stories and pain. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I shouldn't be here. I just heard." A strangled sound echoed from his throat. Not words. Not yet. Just a rough, broken noise. Was he trying to speak? Sophia's heart ached. She knew that sound. She had heard it once, long ago, from her little brother in a cramped public hospital where no doctor cared enough to listen. Carefully, she stepped closer. "It's okay," she murmured. "I'm Sophia. I'm new here. I just wanted to see if you're all right." Michael's eyes flickered. His fingers twitched. Then he did something that shocked her. He tried to sit up straighter. It was small, clumsy. His body resisted, but still he tried. "You're strong," she whispered, her throat tightening. "They probably don't tell you that, do they?" Before he could respond, the door slammed open behind her. "What do you think you're doing?" a voice thundered. John Harrington stood there, his expensive suit slightly undone from a long day, his face hard as stone. Rainwater still glistened on his shoulders. His eyes went from Sophia to Michael, then back again. "I told the staff," he growled. "No one comes into this room without my permission." Sophia swallowed. "Sir, I just heard him. He sounded like..." You heard nothing, John cut her off. You are here to clean floors, not play nurse. Do you think you know more than 10 doctors? His words were sharp, dripping with contempt. Sophia's cheeks burned. Poor girl. New maid. Replaceable. She lowered her gaze. No, sir. Get out, he said coldly. And if I ever see you near my son again, you're finished. Sophia stepped back into the hallway, heart pounding. As the door shut between her and Michael, she caught one last glimpse of his eyes. They weren't empty. They were pleading. And that look stayed with her all night, haunting her as the rain finally stopped. But the storm inside that mansion was only just beginning. The next morning, the mansion glittered under clear skies, but inside, the atmosphere was tense. Sophia scrubbed the already spotless marble floor while Emma watched her with folded arms. You went into his room, didn't you? Emma asked quietly. Sophia's hand paused mid-swipe. I heard him. I just wanted to help. Emma shook her head. Listen to me if you want to keep this job. Mr. Harrington doesn't like people touching his problems. His problems? Sophia repeated. Emma sighed. To him, that boy is a reminder. Of what, I don't know. But staff who get too close don't last. You're poor, Sophia. We don't get to have opinions in houses like this. We survive. The words stung because they were true. Rent was overdue. Her mother's medicine wasn't cheap. She needed this salary. But as she wiped away invisible dust, she couldn't forget Michael's eyes. Later that afternoon, John left for a meeting downtown. The house manager announced his schedule loudly, like a warning. Mr. Harrington will be back at 7 p.m. No one is to disturb the boys' room. Nurse Evelyn will handle his care. Sophia looked up at the name. Evelyn. She saw a woman in her 30s roll a medical cart into the elevator. White uniform. Cold expression. She didn't greet anyone. She moved like someone who knew she was being paid to follow orders, not hearts. As Sophia dusted the hallway, she heard a small clatter. A file had fallen from the edge of Evelyn's cart. Excuse me, Sophia called, picking it up. The nurse barely glanced back. Just leave it. But the file had already flipped open in Sophia's hands. Rows of numbers. Dosages. Medication names she couldn't pronounce. Red circles around certain dates. Long lists of side effects, drowsiness, muscle stiffness, seizures, loss of movement. Her stomach dropped. Michael was on all this? She snapped the folder shut and set it on the cart, but her mind kept racing. That night, as the house grew quiet again, Sophia walked past Michael's door. She wasn't going to open it. She wasn't. But then she heard it. Not crying, this time. A faint, rhythmic tapping. Like a spoon against metal. Tap, tap, pause, tap. Sophia frowned. Michael, she whispered through the door. Is that you? The tapping stopped. Silence. Then, very softly, a sound came through. So. Her heart leaped. Was he trying to say her name? She looked down the empty hallway. No footsteps. No witnesses. Her hand trembled again as she turned the handle and slipped inside. What she saw in that room, this second time, was small. So small that 10 famous doctors had missed it completely. But to Sophia, a poor maid with nothing but her memories and her heart, it was the beginning of an answer. And the first crack in the prison that held Michael captive. The room was dim, curtains half drawn to block the sun. Machines blinked softly. A cartoon played on mute on a huge screen no one watched. Michael's eyes shifted when Sophia slipped in. Hi, she whispered. It's just me. I won't be long. She checked the corners. No cameras. Sophia moved to the wheelchair, heart beating fast. If you want me to leave, she murmured. Blink twice. Michael blinked once. She smiled. I'll risk it. His right hand was curled tight against the armrest. Slowly, carefully, she touched his fingers. They were cold and tense. He stiffened, then relaxed. His gaze stayed on her. "You understand more than they think, don't you?" she said softly. An old memory rose in her mind. A crowded, public hospital. Her little brother on a metal bed. Nurses shoving pills at him because it kept him quiet. "If he sleeps," they told her mother, "it's easier for everyone." On the days the pharmacy forgot a dose because her mother couldn't pay, he moved more. Tried to talk. Tried to sit. Less medicine. More him. Sophia swallowed. "Michael," she whispered, "can I try something? Just a little." She began to straighten his fingers, massaging each joint in slow circles. At first his hand trembled. Muscles fought back. But then, his fingers slowly loosened. A tiny, broken sound came from his throat. "Does that hurt?" she asked. His eyes flicked from her to his hand, then back. One blink. "No." She let out a shaky breath. "Okay. We go slow. No machines. Just you and me." She hummed a small lullaby. The sterile room felt less like a lab, more like a bedroom that finally remembered there was a child in it. Michael's head lifted a fraction. His shoulders shifted. Then, in one fragile moment, his arm lifted from the armrest. Only an inch. Maybe less. But it was his choice. Sophia's eyes filled. "You did that," she whispered. "You." "Not the medicine." The door handle rattled. She jerked back just as Nurse Evelyn stepped in with a syringe. "What are you doing here?" Evelyn snapped. "Cleaning," Sophia blurted, waving a cloth. "Then clean somewhere else. He has treatment now." Sophia moved aside and watched Evelyn push clear liquid into the four. Within minutes, Michael's eyelids sagged. His muscles stiffened. His fingers curled into fists again. The boy who had just reached for the world disappeared behind a chemical wall. Sophia glanced at the chart at the foot of the bed. Times. Dosages. Notes: too restless, increased movement, followed by higher amounts. Every time he fought his way up, they pushed him back down. Her heart pounded. What if Michael wasn't incurable at all? What if, hidden under layers of drugs ordered by rich men and signed off by famous doctors, there was a boy who could move, speak, live? If only someone dared to fight for him. In the days that followed, Sophia watched the clock more than the dust. Right before each dose, Michael's eyes were clearer. His fingers tried to uncurl. A slight delay, and he moved more. After every injection, he sank back into silence. She never touched the four. But when Nurse Evelyn went downstairs, Sophia slipped into the room. "Training time," she whispered one afternoon, kneeling beside the wheelchair. 1 inch, remember?" She rested her hand lightly under his forearm. "You push. I just cheer." Michael's brow tightened. A small sound left his throat. Slowly, his hand lifted. Barely off the armrest. But it was his choice. Sophia smiled, tears burning her eyes. "That's you, Michael. Not a reflex. You." Emma appeared at the door. "Sophia, if Mr. Harrington." "Look at him," Sophia cut in. "Does he look hopeless to you?" Emma stared. For the first time, she saw effort, not emptiness. "No," she whispered. "He doesn't." "Then someone has to tell his father." Emma shook her head. "Rich men don't hear maids. They hear bills. And titles." 2 days later, John Harrington came home early. The mansion shifted into panic. Voices lowered. Footsteps quickened. Sophia was polishing the golden hallway when she heard it. A strangled, choked sound from behind Michael's door. She ran. Inside, Michael's chest fluttered too fast, then too shallow. His head hung at an odd angle. His hands jerked uncontrollably. "Michael!" she gasped. "Hey, I'm here." She lifted his head gently, supporting his neck the way she'd seen therapists do for her brother. "Breathe with me. In, out." His breathing steadied a little. The door slammed open. "What are you doing?" John roared. Sophia didn't move away. "Sir, he couldn't breathe. When the medicine kicks in, his body locks up. When it fades, he moves more. Please, look at his chart. The doses keep going up." "You are not a doctor," John snapped. 10 of the best told me this is all we can do. And you, what are you?" "A girl who cleans my floors." His words cut, but her voice stayed steady. "I am someone who actually sees your son." "You're fired," he said. "Pack your things. Now." Emma flinched in the doorway. Sophia turned back to Michael. "Don't give up," she whispered. "You're still in there." Michael's body suddenly jerked, then slumped. The monitor changed rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. Emma screamed. Nurse Evelyn rushed in with a syringe. "He's crashing." Sophia snatched the chart, eyes flying to the last line. "This dose is higher again," she choked. "Why?" "Because he was too restless." Evelyn shot back. "Mr. Harrington wanted him calm." John's face went white. Sirens. Doors. Bright lights. In the emergency room, a man in a white coat studied the file, his jaw tightening. "My name is Dr. Robert," he said. "And from what I see here." He glanced at John, then at Sophia, then at the pale boy on the bed. "This isn't treatment." He closed the folder with a sharp snap. "This is chemical prison." And the sentence, it seemed, had been signed by people John trusted most. In the hospital, Dr. Robert stood at the foot of Michael's bed, file open. "These drugs started as treatment," he said. "But whenever he moved more or made noise, the dose went up. That isn't just pain control. That's sedation." John stared at the pages. "They told me it was necessary." "Money bought a lot of medicine," Dr. Robert replied. "But she bought your son time by watching him." He nodded at Sophia. His eyes track. His fingers try to move. "He's still here. If we slowly reduce the meds, add real therapy, and let him work, he has a chance. Not perfection. A chance." Weeks passed. Doses went down a little at a time. Stretching replaced some injections. Short speech sessions replaced long hours of sleep. Some days nothing seemed different. Others, the changes were tiny, but real. Michael held eye contact longer. His fists stayed open. His sounds began to lean toward letters. One morning, they brought him home. The room had changed, curtains open, therapy mat on the floor, bright pictures on the wall. It finally looked like a boy's room. Sophia knelt in front of him while John, Emma, and Dr. Robert watched. "Okay, Michael," she said. "If you're tired, we stop. If you can, we try to stand. Just for a moment. I'll hold you. You think up." She offered her hands. He stared at her, breathing fast. Then he pushed. His feet pressed into the floor. His legs shook. For a second, it looked like he would drop back into the chair. Instead, his body rose. Not straight. Not steady. But up. For the first time in years, he was not only sitting. He was half standing, clinging to Sophia, head higher than the wheelchair. John's voice cracked. "Michael." The boy turned toward him. "Dad." He forced out, rough but clear. Silence. Emma covered her mouth. Dr. Robert smiled into his hand. Sophia laughed through tears. "You did it," she whispered. "You did that." John dropped to his knees. "I'm sorry," he said. "For hiding you. For paying people to keep you quiet. For talking down to everyone who tried to care. Especially you, Sophia. I treated you like you were nothing." "You were scared," she replied. "You're listening now. That matters." John nodded. "From now on, we fight for every inch he gains." And we listened to everyone in this house, no matter their salary. He kept his word. Therapists were hired, but the first person he begged to stay was the maid he'd once fired. A fund was created for disabled children from poor families. Staff heard new words: if you see something, speak. I will listen. Michael didn't become perfect. He still needed help. Some days he couldn't stand at all. But the boy inside was no longer buried under drugs. He was trying. And a billionaire who once thought poor people existed only to serve him now owed his son's second chance to the poorest worker in his house. Now it's your turn. Have you ever seen someone in a low position notice the truth before anyone with power did, or been ignored because of your job or background even when you were right? Share your story in the comments. You might give courage to someone who feels invisible right now.